Hello!
Hello! The broadcast is live.
We are live. Oh my gosh, look at these comments already.
Hi, friends. Jenny Bear. Sadie B. Sadie B.
Someone named Katie Webb says, hey, friends.
Someone named Katie Webb. Oh, hear me echo. Hear the echo of me.
Yes. Oh my gosh, so good. We hear it twice. I
You
love when that
all.
happens in like a phone call, by the way. It's like the best. You're like, no, I don't want to hear me twice. Get out of here.
Yeah, it's so distracting.
Yes.
How is everybody? How is everybody?
How was everyone's days? What did people get into today?
Oh, you'll have to excuse
Like,
me. My allergies have been pretty bad for the last.
yeah. Mine too, though. Like, I think it's somewhat tis the season, somewhat like, why is this worse than ever?
Yes, it is worse than ever.
Absolutely.
Um,
Oh my gosh. So we got some glasses comments. I just want everyone to know
already.
that this was not planned.
It wasn't planned, actually.
Mm-mm. We were
Might
both
help
just
with my
feeling it.
the old ocular migraines, of which I've had today. So
Do you think that
they
those
look
are
cool,
like
but
sinus
they're
linked?
not cool. Maybe.
Okay. Asking
The
for a
glasses are a
friend
vibe.
with
Yeah.
me.
Thanks.
Yep.
Thanks.
I just wanted to see the world in red today, and it looks really good.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Looks really good. Yeah, so we have like a couple of our usuals that we're gonna talk about real quick, and then we will
Mm-hmm.
bring in tonight's guest, who we're really
Yes.
excited to talk to. I haven't been this excited, like, whew, like these last few days. I've just been really pumped and obsessed a little bit. Take a healthy dose.
Yes.
Mm.
Mackenzie's TikTok is very easy to get super obsessed with and get really excited about.
Yes, absolutely. You were so right about like the edits. The edits are delicious.
Yeah, almost like she's like a filmmaker.
I know, right? Or something
Weird.
crazy. But
So
then
weird.
like her sense of humor is really relatable.
Like tip top notch. Yep,
Yes.
top notch.
So we'll be hearing a lot of excellent, excellent things from her soon. Did we want to get our song and stuff out of the way first, or do we want to bring her on for that?
Let's talk about what we're promoing. What are you promoing, Beck?
Okay, perfect. So I'm gonna promo something that's kind of near and dear to my heart here. There's an account on Instagram called Punk with a Camera, and they have created a merch store over the last so odd months. And they actually made like my abortions for all, no apologies, no exceptions with the roses. I think we've seen those shirts around a little bit. But if you check out their page right now, they're doing like an overstock sale to free up some storage for new designs. And some of the new designs are going to be really great. Like politicians don't die like they used to kind of
Woo!
shirts and things.
I like
Good
that.
stuff. hmm
That's
So
nice.
go check him out at Punk with a Camera and get you some stuff on sale and clear the way for the new stuff.
Cool.
What about you?
Oh, well, I am just promoting myself because I'm going to be 40 on Friday, and that's all I'm going to talk about for a really long time because being 40 used to be called over the hill, and here I am. So
Oh my
I'm
gosh. Here
over
and
it.
over.
So on it and over it and under it, and I am the hill
Gonna go through the hill.
through the hill.
Yeah.
I'm king of the hill.
So are you gonna be doing anything special for this
Yeah, of
situation?
course.
Okay. What are you doing?
Um, but I'm not gonna tell you all now. I'm not gonna tell you all my
Okay.
really cool birthday plans. Bex can know, but everybody just follow me on the internet, and then you'll get to know on the day. Um, I do have a special day planned with a BFF of mine
Okay.
that does my hair, Tasha. and we're going to do some cool stuff. And I'm going to most likely post about it. I haven't really decided.
Keep a lookout, you guys.
Yeah. There's one thing I know I'm going to do. I'm getting a tat, but you know, y'all just wait. That's better revealed later.
For sure. Tattoo energy is really out there right now, isn't it?
Always.
Like, ooh. Mm-hmm. I love it. Now, are you someone, and if this is also included under this talk later, totally let me know. But like, are you someone who does like any like birthday rituals or anything?
Nah.
Cool.
Really.
Hocus Pocus 2 made me think about that.
I'm one of those that has like cries on their birthday every year. That like hates their birthday. But Tasha messaged me months ago being like, you're 40 this year. We should do something. And I was like, you know what? You're right. I am 40 this year. We should do something. And fucking bless her soul, because I probably wouldn't have thought about it until like tomorrow. If it wasn't for her. So Tasha, shout out.
Bless you. That's really sweet. Oh,
so should we get into music? Maybe bring in our guests?
Okay, so let's bring Mackenzie. Would you like to throw a little intro out there for maybe folks who don't know?
How do you intro a storm? How do you intro the hair raising on the back of your neck? How do you intro revenge? Ooh. I don't know. Why don't we just say, come on, Mackenzie Bartlett?
I was like really trying to figure out a way to like have been turned around in my chair. But it didn't pan out.
Oh no.
That was maybe the best intro I've ever had in my life. How do you intro revenge? And that's it.
Really
trying to capture the essence.
And you did. And you did. Hi. Thanks for having me on. I'm really happy to be here.
Yay.
Thanks
Hi.
For being here.
Hello.
This is so exciting. Oh my goodness.
I know. I don't even know where to begin. I guess first we should begin with the fun stuff, the songs.
The music.
We all listen to the same songs, but what are you listening to? What are those songs?
Are we starting with me?
Yeah, yes. Sure. Yeah.
Well, so like this is like questions about music are always like deeply embarrassing to me because I famously don't listen to new music ever, and I like really only listen to things that I think like maybe are like as close to getting a lobotomy as possible. Like just trying to listen to the most brainworm ass pop music because that's just who I am. And then it's also that like one song for weeks. And so anyway, so recently that song has been, I mean, it's been "Break the Ice" by Britney Spears.
Nice.
An iconic tune. But that has really, really been doing it for me. And I was like, should I like lie and like say other music to like make myself look cool? And I was like, no. Honesty here. That and like
honesty is the best.
Shania Twain. I've been the Shania Twain Song Massacre. I've been back on my Shania.
Let's go, girls.
Let's go, girls. Exactly. And so that has been me. That's been me for like the past like month and a half, I would say. Yeah.
Perfect. Thanks.
We've all been her kind.
Yeah. I listen to the same music all the time also. So it's like same.
I have like a comfort playlist that's very similar and it's just so good. But I hate the shame. I wish the shame didn't exist.
What is your most shameful? Expose yourself.
I don't know. Well, lately, you know, because I had the man hater gene passed down from my grandmother. I listened to Goodbye Earl a lot.
Nice.
That's my karaoke song.
Oh, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. Yeah. Beautiful connection.
Gorgeous.
Yep, absolutely.
That wasn't my song, but it should be. That's my song now.
Yes.
But it helped. It's helped. I love it a lot.
I've been listening to a lot of the Deftones and White Zombie as per usual. Just the usual things around here. Making that birthday playlist. Talking about my birthday nonstop.
Will you post the birthday playlist when it's done?
Yeah, I will. I will.
Oh,
I
yes.
just added that Doja Cat, Rico Nasty, Tia Tamara song to the playlist. That song's a
Okay.
good one. We like that one. I like the Rico Nasty uh, verse in that song. Anyway, everybody's saying I'm young in here. Thanks,
Oh.
guys. Thanks. It's fine to me to be middle aged, to be honest with you. I don't necessarily need 40 to be young. Like, I'm not trying to live like 100 and something out here.
Just gonna live forever.
Yeah, I don't
Forever.
mind. I don't mind it being middle aged. That's okay. So Bex was promoting the Punk with a Camera Shop and Overstock sale, and Mackenzie, I feel like you have something that you could probably promo.
Probably. Let's see.
Probably.
What is the most like relevant thing in my life right now? So like promoting myself, right? Like, hi, follow
Hi.
me on Twitter or whatever. But
Yeah.
things that are going on in my life right now. So aside from like being a filmmaker and like doing my own creative stuff, I'm also the creative director for a horror festival in Portland, Maine called Damnation Land. Damnation Land is a pretty cool festival that happens every October. It's not really a festival in the traditional sense. Folks don't submit to us, but rather we invite specifically like filmmakers living and working in Maine to make short films, spooky adjacent in the horror genre, every October at the State Theater. And then we also take that piece of work and we tour it around the state. And so that is like a really fun, exciting time. It's our first live show in 3 years, which is really, really exciting.
Yay.
And that's going to be Thursday, October 27th at the State Theater. So if you are watching and you are in Maine, you should absolutely come.
Yes.
And if not, we'll try to get it. So, maybe, who knows? Maybe it'll come somewhere near you soon.
Ooh, that'd be fun.
Yeah, right?
Ooh,
But yeah, it's a really, really cool, special thing, I think, that we have going on. And I'm really,
It is really
yeah,
special.
happy to be involved with it.
It has really great vibes when you are
Mhm.
there.
Yeah, it's like spooky. Like
Yeah.
everyone who's coming is just like down. Like I don't know. Like it is like magical, like exciting vibes. I feel like every
Yeah.
time like Damnation Land happens for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
I
even
have my
exciting
tickets.
to
I'm so
people.
excited.
Yeah. Woo! Yay! I think it's exciting to people who even don't live in Maine. Like I love I follow Damnation and like the social media posts are really great. Like to just be like I like hype it and I'm excited. I'm just like, yeah, I wish I could go, can't, but this is great. Like
Yeah, it's really
I
cool,
mean,
and it's I feel like we hear a lot about like Maine is like replicated a lot in horror movies, right? And like everyone thinks of Maine a lot in horror movies, but like so I think it's cool to be highlighting like work specifically like that is made in Maine, like for people in Maine by people in Maine. And we have like such a like a vibrant like filmmaking community here.
We do.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
insane. It's so many talented people working.
many.
And it's just a cool excuse for people to like make something just for the sake of making it. Which I feel
Mhm.
like those excuses are like kind of like few and far between right now.
True.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a really special time.
It is. You guys can buy their DVDs. Mine are just out of arm's reach right now. I wish I had an Inspector Gadget arm. I would grab them and be like, I have the DVDs. But you can buy them. And the DVDs are so cute because when you hit play, they show up like as you watched it in the like live. So like there's like little intermittent movies between other movies and like your party movie, like how it was separated in segments throughout. Like that really like gave me like the festival vibes just watching
It's
it at home.
immersive. Yeah.
It's immersive.
You could, yes, so you'll definitely be able to buy DVDs. And then I guess, Katie, this news might only be relevant to you, but we sent our t-shirts to the printer and we made them look like old video port print ads this year.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, you did.
Yeah, they're really cool. I'll send you a
Oh.
picture of it. Yeah, they're gonna be killer.
R.I.P.
Yeah, so speaking of physical media.
Yes.
Yeah.
Video port, everybody, was like Portland's video store. They had a whole section dedicated to just weird movies. They were so special.
Right.
All right.
oh my gosh, my heart. I used to work at a video store and I like
Ugh.
that weird section was my pride and my joy and my
Yep.
heart.
I
Like
exhausted that
sacred
thing.
places, like the video, like as like a sacred place. Like I feel like so much of like my like formal like or like formative like taste in like movies and like specifically horror is like directly because of like the one
Directly.
small video rental place in my hometown. Yeah.
Yes. And Videoport was such a huge one for me. Like horror and weird were right next to each
Yep.
other. So you could literally stand back and kind of just peruse the whole aisle. And it was all of everything that I could have ever wanted. And Sam James was there to give really good recommendations on movies. And man, the Videoport employees were crucial.
Yep. Icons.
Icons. All
I
right.
love that you still know their names.
Yeah, I do. Reagan and Sam. Yeah, of course. Oh my gosh, there's actually a customer that comes into my dispensary that looks exactly like Reagan and like has very similar mannerisms, and her name is Leah and not at all the same or related, but I'm like dying to ask her if she knows her, but I haven't done the creepy thing yet.
Like, I don't know how to ask you this, but
Do you remember Videoport? So, Mackenzie, we have this tradition where we start off the night with the hard hitting questions. Just get them right out of the way.
Got it. Trivia. Okay.
Trivia, the hard stuff. So, obviously, we love your TikTok. You had a really cheeky TikTok where you used a viral sound about putting a character in Euphoria, and you chose Orphan.
Yeah, Esther, the titular orphan from Orphan.
Esther, the titular orphan from Orphan. And I want to know, if you were making your own like high school tale with Esther in it, would you have? She's there. Who else is there? Or like, what other character like archetypes are there? Even if you don't want to name like specifics.
No, I'll name specifics because
great.
Okay, so Esther is there. Esther is there. She's tearing shit up for sure. Who else?
For
is there?
Sure.
Okay, newly Mia Goth's Pearl. She's there. She's there. She's there, and she's like in the drama department, like that. So that speaks for itself. Like she's like the theater kid of it all for sure. Emma Roberts from Scream 4 is there for sure.
For sure.
And then I think to round out the like group of girls, I feel like Jennifer Check is an obvious choice, but it's an obvious choice for a reason. Like she's there.
She's there.
And like that's your clique. And then I feel like it's like very much like Heather's. They're like walking down the street, like, or no, sorry, Jawbreaker. Like Jawbreaker, they're like walking down the hallway in like slow motion and like their little outfits, which are like now like trendy and like back again. So I feel like it would all like work out pretty well.
It would. You could put that Smith song behind them from The Craft. Yeah. It'd be really great. It'd be really like evil, and that's like something we don't get to see that much.
Yeah, no, pure evil. Right. For sure.
Pure evil. Just a bunch of evil gals together.
And it would like serve up those vibes that we were talking about the other night at our watch party of like, we love the 90s vibes, like costume, directorially, but like having cell phones, having iPhones, like we love that mix. It's just great.
Yeah, so for any of the people that don't know, the other night, I was going to do a watch party of Mackenzie's 2 films with my Patreon so they could be extra excited about today. And my DVD player broke in that moment as I was like getting set up. And so there was nothing left to do but reenact.
I can't believe I didn't get to see that. What I wouldn't give.
And so I obviously was trying to like set the tone. And so to me, the party really gives me the Craft like era vibes. Like, did you shoot it with like digital? It looks old.
We wanted it to look old, but it's shot digitally. Old. Yeah, but like the Craft was like the major like the Craft
you pick up on it instantly.
Yeah, thank you. Yes. Like I feel like the late 90s and like early 2000s like had so many good movies that were about like the dynamics of like female friendship.
Yes.
And I miss that a lot. Like we're kind of like starving for that right now. Like
starving. So
yeah.
much like women needing to fight for themselves right now. It's a lot. Whew. Fine.
We just have to bring back like this exact cast that Mackenzie mentioned, I think that would heal us so fast.
It would help.
It would help.
It's a balm
Yeah.
for the soul.
It would help.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so that was what Bex was referring to. Everybody in the chat was like how the party has like these 90s, early 2000s vibes, but they've got cell phones. It's like she was on an iPhone, right? I'm like,
She's just on an iPhone.
yeah,
Yeah.
she's on an iPhone. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I don't know. Do you want to get into the party a little bit? Do you want to talk about how it kind of transformed?
Yeah. So,
Cool.
and feel free to like, if you have specific questions, feel free to like, jump in and ask them.
Yeah.
Ask me.
This-
The party was, so if we kind of circle the conversation back to Damnation Land a little bit, a special thing about like Damnation Land is that in between all of the short films, there's usually 6 short films. We have like little interstitial films that kind of help like cohesively tie the films together, like as an anthology. And so sometimes that like looks like, like people around a campfire, like very like Goosebumps, like, or Are You Afraid of the Dark? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I had signed on that year to do the interstitials, and I had written just kind of a very like, just like purely vibes, like script about like a witch, like a, like, or someone who we later learned to be like a witch, like who seems like she's on her way to a Halloween party, but it turns out she's on the way to like this, like a ritual, right? And it was purely vibes. And then as I'm writing it and like truly leading up to like just like a handful of days before the shoot, were the Kavanaugh hearings.
Mm-hmm.
And I just like remember being so like full of despair, like rage,
Yeah.
and I was like, and then just like realize that like that's what the movie was always supposed to be about in some way, like it like very much like not like it wasn't a happy coincidence by any means, but it everything really clicked. So anyway, so the party is about a group of friends who invite like a man over to a Halloween party, and then we find out that they're actually there to like ritualistically burn him alive to summon a demon to help them kill a rapist. So that is what that is about. And it ends with a quote from Blasey Ford that just talks about how like one of the most like intensely troubling like memories like of her assault that she experienced was just the fact that like all of the men in the room were just there like laughing at her, and like that was like the key, like not the trauma that she walked away from, but like that was like such an intense memory. And so I wanted to flip that a little bit and kind of turn that idea on its head a little, of people laughing at somebody while something terrible is happening, right? And so when this like coven of witches, these like 3 friends are burning this man alive, they're just like laughing and like having a great time, right? And like I wanted like that to be like both like the thing that was scary about it, but also for it to feel really cathartic.
It makes me cry every time. And your song choice at the end is so good.
Thank you. We got so lucky with that, and like that was like finding that song but by this really brilliant band. I believe they're from Portland, Oregon. I could be wrong. Called Smoke Show. And someone just randomly like put us in touch with their like SoundCloud. And I was just like listening to their discography, and I was like, holy shit. Like this is the song. Like it's basically a song about like, it's not about someone being lit on fire, but it like kind of is. And it's also about like the transformative nature of like fire, and about like the cleansing nature of fire. And about
I had wondered if it was like written for your
yeah.
yeah.
Fire is like reinvention, right? Like the breaking down of something as reinvention. So it was just like this like really crazy like whirlwind like experience where so many things like came into place to like like the movie wasn't created like to capitalize on like a like, but like feeling like a product of its time, like
it feels I don't know, it feels familiar. It feels it doesn't feel like it feels like it was made by a woman. Like you can really like tell, especially with the relationships of the women. I feel like so often like women characters written by men are just really like hollow, and I don't know, they just don't talk right. And I don't know. It's just they're weird. And so it feels so like authentic and natural, and yeah, it's good. I love it.
You.
I love it.
Funny that we're talking a little bit about movies like The Craft and like movies from the 90s a little bit, because I feel like, and like movies about like female friendship, because I feel like those movies, even if they were like written by men, which I think like maybe they most often were, like there was something about them that always felt authentic, and I don't know like why. And so I think writing, specifically like writing The Party, and I think just like in general, as far as like dialogue is like concerned, like I feel like my biggest influence is like Kevin Williamson, who like wrote like Scream and like a ton of like teen like thrillers. And I don't know if that's just because like that I watched them so early on in my life that like that kind of dialogue was just like seared into my brain.
That's like that quick back and forth, like cute banter. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm really proud of it. And
so good.
I should probably like put it online for people to like
You
watch.
should put it online. I'm literally begging you. Also, baptism, like we haven't even gotten into baptism yet. I was like trying to describe, I was like, and then the apples were swirling.
You did such a good job. I wish we recorded it.
I am going to do another screening with my Patreon people. I did actually buy a DVD player that plugs into my laptop. I thought I bought it in my last like Amazon purchase, but
I just bought a new DVD player. Would everybody like to see it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Guys, I used a DVD player today at the museum.
Wow. Look at that.
I really don't think you're ready.
Really? Okay. Oh my
ready
God.
Right now.
I wasn't ready.
Of all the things in all of the world.
This was a gift.
Wow. Somebody is truly in love with you. That is only a gift you give someone you love deeply.
Trying to hold on to.
Oh my God.
Watching movies the way God intended. I watched Raw on it the other day.
And
yeah, then that's how it was meant to be viewed, on like a 9-inch like CRT on a SpongeBob DVD player.
SpongeBob DVD player. Does it purr?
It like makes it a very like not insignificant, like high pitched like beep, kind of the whole time, but it adds to the experience.
It does. Of course it does. I can't believe nobody is saying anything in these comments. Okay, we have that.
They're late.
Okay.
They're delayed. Come on. Okay, someone says they love it.
Thank you.
Yeah. That's right. There's a delay. I forget.
That's so funny though. Like I have all of the things in all of the world.
My white whale is the Shrek CRT TV that has a built-in DVD and VHS. And like the 2 little antenna.
Oh
yeah.
You hear
Once
that?
I have that, it's all over.
SJ, where are you, SJ?
Where are
our Shrek friends are out there?
Vintage diggers, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Let me commission you.
You are on the hunt. You are on the hunt. Although I feel like SJ would keep that.
Yeah. 100%.
That is a tough one to give away to someone.
Yes. So much high quality Shrek content out there thanks to SJ. So shout out to SJ.
So Bex, I feel like we need to talk about what you did today.
Okay.
Because I think then it would be cool to go to baptism after it.
Okay, perfect. Mm-hmm. It definitely has like a lot of Believe Women vibes. A lot of like
I totally had the story wrong. I thought somebody set a man on fire and I was like, oh,
like
so like the party. But I'm wrong. So Bex has to refresh the story for everyone.
But like when you texted me that, my heart's sake, I was like, I don't want to disappoint. I wish that's what happened. It's so much better. That's what like the best situation could have been out of this.
It's not disappointing. It's good.
Okay,
it's
perfect.
good.
So,
tell us the story.
Through like a fit of rage this morning, I drove to Adams, Tennessee, to the site of the Bell Witch Cave. and I discovered a few things. But rewinding, if you guys don't know the story of the Bell Witch, it is not the Blair Witch. It's not anything like it. Um,
Different.
but pretty much, I think back in the 1800s, there was this man named John Bell and like his wife and his kids, and they were being like tormented by this witch being, essentially, and pretty much drove them mad. But I have recently uncovered that that's not actually true. That this witch spirit or whomever, this creature, like, wasn't just like tormenting them for like shits and giggles. It turned out that John Bell was a extremely abusive man to his wife and his child. He stole land from his female neighbor, Kate. And then they paint Kate to be out this hysterical woman that doesn't know
Class.
how land purchases work. And um, there's a whole list of just like really disrespectful acts directly towards women, and that's not the story being told at all. And so I kind of got like really pissed because I saw that like there's some people that are going to go investigate it, and they're very disrespectful and shitty. And to like the locals, this space is actually very sacred for like domestic violence victims, and like we go leave offerings and have ceremonies and things. And I just met a couple of witches from Tennessee last week who were telling me about it. Now, when I went there today, I found the entrance to the cave that's very kitschy, very touristy, very hear the authentic witch tale, and only closed on Tuesdays. So I picked the best day to go, and I ended up at the museum that was completely empty, in the city hall, which was also empty, at this like abandoned high school. Um, and I find this like rickety TV like that you would find in school on like a rolling cart, and it had like a built-in DVD player. So I was like rummaging through their DVDs, and I found something on the Bell Witch and popped it in. And of course, it was the worst. It was like a reenactment. Um, and like they immediately painted John Bell out to be like this like very good Christian man who like his wife and him are in love, and like his kid is the perfect kid, and they're all happy, and like they're great farmers too. And they just happen to get into this land dispute, but the way that they present like Kate, the neighbor, with like the city council investigating, it was all very much like you're just hysterical, you don't know how this works. And they even told her like she complained about being late because John Bell's children blocked the road and she couldn't get out. And the city council's response to her in this reenactment was, well, if you leave early, you'll show up on time. And just like completely disregarded everything. And so between that, and then if we find out in these diary entries like the abuse that was going on in that house, it's like this witch spirit was tormenting him for good reason and is actually a protector of women. And that's the story that we need to perpetuate, not this bullshit about John Bell being like this golden citizen and he was tormented and now all of his ancestors are writing these books vindicating him. It's just really gross, and I just want to tell the other story more instead. Believe women.
Yeah. Bell Witch, the protector.
I know, and I think that we should rename her like the Adams Witch. The Adams Witch, because that's the name of the town, and the Bell is, like that family's last name. Like, why would we continue to tie her? Because funny enough, like right around when John started telling people about the phenomenon, people in town started experiencing things too. And this cave is like right off of the center of town, pretty much on one of the roads that leads out. But I there's like a lot of houses around and stuff, and I could definitely see like the old general store and things were really close. And so it's really interesting to think about like all of these townspeople were like, yeah, me too. I don't know what the heck is up. And I could see that just being like an extended rage of like everyone thinks you're fucking perfect and like you're actually an abusive prick, and like no one knows, and like how do we tell this story? Um so yeah, I like went and photographed and took like a ton of footage, and like got these books and just trying to figure out how to get that story out instead.
Yeah.
Ain't that just the way? Like, ain't that just the way that like anytime like and it always involves like a witch, right? If it's like folklore, if it's not, like it's always seems like the crux of the story almost always comes back to like things being misinterpreted because of like a man's like Christianity, right? Or like a man's like social standing. Yeah. Yeah.
100%.
Must protect at all costs.
Yeah.
And it's only men like perpetuating the story today. Like there aren't even any women writing about this. There are no women who have any authority to speak on this behalf, and so that needs to change. Like,
Classic.
yeah, it's just
Well,
wild.
you're gonna change it?
Yeah.
Well,
Definitely.
yes.
Definitely. I don't know how yet, but I got a pretty loud mouth, so I can figure it out.
Yeah. I mean, I
But
like that you went there. I like that you met up with a bunch of local ladies that also go and leave offerings and, you know, regard this Adams witch as a protector. I think so often entities are protecting and they come off as like scary and evil when
to the ones who
you
attend.
are scary and evil.
Yeah. Exactly. And like the last thing I'll say about it is like I was going through like the middle of the town, walking around on this road, photographing, and like so many of the same cars kept driving by and checking me out, and I just felt like so unwelcome. I felt like super targeted, and I was just like, I'm just like a woman, like they don't know anything about me being a witch or nothing, and it was just like the theme of the day was like the witch hunt never ended. The witch hunt never ended. It was interesting just to sit in that energy today.
Weird.
Mm-hmm.
So you're saying like
Very weird.
locals think that the witch like it has like a curse.
Yeah, yeah, and they're not very keen on like outsiders at all. And I have my Washington plate still. And so like just
Oh.
because I'm like a little different and not from there, they like were watching me like a hawk the whole time.
I also drove through that town once in my like probably like 2015. I was doing like a cross country thing, and I remember like stopping because I didn't know very much about like the like Bell Witch like museum or anything like that, and I stopped and it was a Tuesday, so it was closed. So I couldn't go. So literally, there was a gate up, so like I couldn't even like go into it, but like very eerie, very strange, very much like weird looks from people in gas stations, like just like yeah, like it has that air of like being just a very strange like place that people like don't often like come to, right? So I could
I can't believe you've been to.
Weird.
Oh my gosh.
That's funny.
Exactly, Tuesdays, like fucking hell. Like what are they, a restaurant? Lame. We should just go when it's open, I guess, and check it out. But I'm worried that it's just gonna be like really bad, and I'm just gonna get really
probably
upset.
right. Like I don't know. I feel like I'm so interested in like reclamation of like folklore in like that regard. Like I think that to your question, like how do we change the narrative, right? Like how do we change the story? It's just by like if these things are all like things that are passed down orally, which is like that's the only thing that like folklore is, right? It's just like stories that are like that evolve like through time and are like passed down through time, like they change by like people changing the narratives for them and for like reclaiming them and recentering them. So yeah,
that's what we got to do.
Yeah.
Starting the wheel in motion. I feel like this kind of ties into baptism a little bit.
Yeah, I was thinking about that, like when you were talking, like how do I want to like organize my thoughts around that? I feel like these like narratives, and I don't know too much about the story that you were talking about just now, Bex, but I think it sparked some things for me. Like there is specifically, I think, and maybe this relates more to like movies, but or like pop culture. Like I feel like stories about a witch in like any regard, like will always go hand in hand with like just like a girl literally just like vibing, like, literally just like existing and like maybe like going against the grain a bit societally. This is like not a super related thought, but this like it popped for me like when you were talking about like hashtag the Bell Witch did nothing wrong, like, that's like not what like this is about, like, and I know that you said we were like it's explicitly not the Blair Witch, but I think there's like some interesting like parallels, just like as somebody who's like obsessed with the movie The Blair Witch, like obviously the whole bit about the movie The Blair Witch is that it only ever like hints at things. Like you don't ever like see a witch, you don't have to ever like explicitly see anything paranormal. The only like explicit like bad thing that you learn about happening in that town is like the story of a murderer who was like a man, like a real murderer, like who like ritualistically like, you know, killed like children out by the lake. And then like as like all of these things are happening to like the group of like filmmakers in the woods, it's all like the like his like calling cards, like all the like weird things that he used to do. But like we blame the witch, right? Because like the witch is scarier because the witch is someone who like lives alone in the woods, you know, and like has like her own shit that she's doing. And I just think that that's really interesting.
Yeah.
So Baptism is a movie that I made that was like inspired by like stories like that, also like really inspired by like Shirley Jackson's The Lottery. And it is about a town whose crop fails and they, you know, like maybe it's something like the lottery or whatever. They, even though the lottery isn't about explicitly like blaming a woman, it just happens to be like a woman in the story who like is stoned to death for at the, you know, at the behest of like their crop season. The like town council votes to in Baptism votes to baptize a young woman in town who is like seen as like a little bit like you know, going against the grain of like her like religious upbringing. So she like has a boyfriend and she's like a little bit disobedient and like disrespectful. And the baptism in this regard is the town council members ritualistically pulling out all of her teeth. It is very violent and very gross, but it's about like women being or women who, witches, whatever, like women who are like seen as like social deviants, like being blamed for men's problems because they're really easy scapegoats. And also I think there are so often themes of like bodily autonomy, specifically in like witch related like media, like movies like The Witch or like Hagazissa. Like I feel like the motivation always seems to be like bodily autonomy, right? Or like the lack thereof. And then like any sort of like anger or like, you know, anything that they enact on other people seems to be at the expense of like trying to like reclaim their bodily autonomy, right? Or like reclaim like their like ability to like have their own narratives. And that is kind of like, I think, something that inspires all of my work all the time. But yeah, I don't know. Does that relate to like what you were saying about how
absolutely, yes. Yeah. I was just like listening. I'm like, yes, you're right. Just not gonna say it out loud. I'm just thinking like, yes, that's it.
Well, the thing too is like even just having you reenact them for us the other night, I feel like I've seen both of these movies, and especially like the teeth pulling part, she was so visual in her explanation. I'm like, tell me about those physical effects because I need to hear.
Fingers in her mouth.
Fingers shoved in them. Like a thing that I also really love to do like in my work is suspend like reality a little bit, to have things like exist to break the rules, right? And I think I tried to do that a lot in Baptism. Like when you am dying to see your reenactments of them, because their crop is like a fictional thing that doesn't really exist. It's white apples that grow from the ground like pumpkins.
Yeah, you know? That's true. They do grow from the ground.
Yeah. And the men, when they take out their teeth, they don't use pliers, right? They're just using their bare fingers and they're ripping it out of her mouth. And like obviously it's like, oh, like they couldn't actually do that. It's like, but that's the point, right? Like it's like an allegory for assault. It's an allegory for like how like men like systemically have so much more power, and it's so easy for them to like silence like other like minorities if they want to, you know, and it's like scary and it's gross.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's just the thing that I get jazzed about.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what's so funny? When I was doing the reenactment, I was like, yes, and their crop of apples. And in my mind, they were like, it was from the movie, like they were picking them from the ground. But I was saying to people the trees, because I was like, well, they had to be picking trees. But I was like, but I
No.
don't remember that part. And it's so
No.
funny. Like, duh, yeah, they were.
Yeah, we literally filmed it in like an off-season pumpkin patch. And I had just like painted a bunch of fake apples white. And also they're like collecting them in these big giant like barrels that they like are, you know, like hanging off their hips.
Hanging ribs, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bleeding apples.
Yep. Bleeding apples.
Was it blood? Was it
It
real
was
blood?
blood. Yeah. Yeah. So the sign of like the no, yeah, it was my blood. No, it was chocolate syrup.
Nice.
But yeah, the crop went bad because all of the apples were bleeding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Obviously.
As they do.
And they blame the correct perpetrator.
Obviously.
And they did.
Yeah.
They shut her right up.
Shut her right up forever.
Oh, geez. Yeah, I think that everyone in the comments will agree when we say, like, you need to put these online.
Yeah.
I want to see these so
Yeah.
bad.
They're so good. Like, genuinely so fucking good.
If it benefits you, of course.
Yeah.
If it's the right move for you, you have a whole lot of people backing you up.
Rock on. Cool. We'll have a watch party.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm gonna circle back to a hard hitting question here.
Ooh.
It's a selfish hard hitting question. I'm gonna read it as I wrote it. Like talking to you. I wrote, you have excellent taste in horror movies. We know this from your videos about Tusk and loving Scream 4. Tusk is like one of my favorite horror movies.
I'm so ride or die for Tusk.
Me too. Hardcore.
Yeah.
So personally, as a lover and a champion of Halloween Resurrection, I need to know your thoughts. Because it gets a lot of hate.
You tell me what other movie features a POV tripod kill while Tyra Banks makes herself a little latte. Name one. That to me is cinema. That to me is cinema. Like that movie. First of all, that movie. I guess I just like didn't realize like how much people disliked that movie because it truly just does not make sense to me. Because I think if we're being honest, any movie that's not the original, every sequel is balls to the walls crazy in some way. And like, stuff. It's no less. There's one where Paul Rudd is part of a cult. Like, like they're all so crazy. Come on. Also, like, I love Halloween Resurrection. And I also can like vividly remember watching it for the first time and like genuinely being scared. Like it was like so creepy. Like I love the like it's basically like a whole prologue with like Lori and like the institution at the beginning. Love it. Sorry, love it. Because it felt like breaking the mold in such like a crazy way that like I really liked. And also like turn of the century like tech horror.
Yes, come on.
So good. Like give like the whole like there being like an interactive like website that people are like watching from and like you know the drama is like unfolding and like that's good storytelling. Like it's unreal. So good. Like there's so many things that work about it. Like, obviously it's like cheesy. Also name another movie where like the black guy lives. Like
Busta Rhymes straight up roundhouse kicks Michael Myers in the chest off out a second story
favorite one.
Like it's so good.
So good.
I loved it. I remember like I mean I watch it every year, but I remember watching it again last year and being like, how? But like how do people not like this? Like because I just don't
I can't get out.
Because I hate it. Not like that one, but like any of the other sequels. Like that it truly just doesn't make sense to me.
It doesn't make sense.
I love
especially if you're ride or die for these Rob Zombie remakes, which is a whole I could do a TED talk on how much I hate Rob Zombie as a filmmaker.
I mean,
also Rob Zombies wouldn't have even existed if it wasn't for Halloween Resurrection, because that's the only time that we ever like they hint at it when they pull out the freaky little like high chairs in Halloween Resurrection. Like remember that's where Rob Zombie got that idea, because that's the only one of those movies that hints at that, right? Like that was the seed.
The seed for the sister. The second sister. For real, it was. Also, I was always a big fan of MTV's Fear, my ghost hunting people out here. And Halloween Resurrection is the same thing. It's MTV Fear. It's Halloween. It's so good.
Have you seen Stay Alive?
Stay
No.
Alive. I don't think so.
2006. So I just rewatched it last week. It's made in 2006. It's got like Freddie Muniz in it, Frankie Muniz, and it's about a haunted video game that like if you die in the video game, you die in real life. But it like marries like cutscenes like with like it's the like optimal like early 2000s like teen slasher. It's so good, and it's about like a retelling of like Elizabeth Bathory is like the villain of the
yes, okay.
yeah
it's really bloody, all these pictures I'm looking at.
yeah, it's so good.
It has a 10% Rotten Tomatoes.
That's deranged. Deranged. It is so good.
You know it's gonna be
trust
good.
Rotten Tomatoes.
Is Stay Alive a real game? People also ask, is Stay Alive a real game?
It is not a real game, but if you have the DVD like I do, the DVD menu is a playable game. So
no, of course. That's gorgeous.
That obviously takes my brain to like existence, like Cronenberg, like becoming the game, plugging the game into your body. I'm surprised we don't have that yet.
Oh, here we
go. Okay, we did the Bell Witch stuff. We talked a little bit about the Blair Witch already. And how horror mimics society's anxieties. Society's
anxieties. I was so excited to read that out loud.
I read it. I'm so sorry. You should say it.
Hey.
Okay.
It's our questions, not mine and yours. But I think that's a shirt. Just good.
Society's anxieties.
Yeah.
I love it. Just a recap for people that have not seen. I actually really love your take on Blair Witch and was like, wow, I can't believe I've never thought about it like that before. I totally missed the whole like killer part.
Yes,
but you take it a little bit further in a TikTok video. And I don't know if you just want to recap that really quick for my audience that doesn't have TikTok, because it's a really important take, in my opinion.
Specifically Blair Witch.
It doesn't have to be specifically Blair Witch.
No, I can talk about Blair Witch. I'm trying to remember. So I think when I made that video, I was talking about like late like horror of the 90s.
Yeah.
And about how like horror of the 90s is like often like seen as just like not being good, when like actually I think that like 90s horror was like an extremely pivotal time for like the kind of horror that we have now. Like kind of like meta, like tongue-in-cheek, like nihilistic horror. And I think the catalyst for that was obviously Scream. I would go so far as to say that I think the catalyst for that was actually like Wes Craven's New Nightmare.
Nice.
But anyway, so so like the Blair Witch is like one of the first like movies that used technology both as like a horror device and also as like breaking the genre a little bit, or breaking like the barriers of the genre by like also using like probably like one of the first like viral marketing campaigns to like to directly influence people's viewing experience.
Yep.
And that is something that I think that we kind of like take for granted now as like a thing that people try to do, but I think that like at the time like was like such a groundbreaking
I believed it.
Like approach.
I totally thought it was real when I went and saw that in the theater. 100%.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yep. Incredible.
Yeah. Is there like a certain element, forgive me, but I can't like remember.
No, that's okay.
But about like societally that you wanted to talk about the Blair Witch.
I think I just wanted to kind of recap on like how like we kind of got into how like the witch itself wasn't actually I think I'm like crossing a few of your videos in my head.
We gotta do it.
Now that I'm trying to sort through it in my brain. We did kind of already go over how like as a whole, like obviously the witch isn't actually like the antagonist in Blair Witch.
Yeah.
but that is not something that like a
Right,
lot
like
of
what
people
yeah,
see.
right. And so and I don't even know if that like my opinion of like was it even the Blair Witch? Like I don't that's like kind of like that's just like my take. Like I just think it's really
Yeah,
interesting. I also think that like if we're talking about society's anxieties, hashtag society's anxieties, I
Yeah.
think that Blair Witch is like a really perfect like time capsule for like Y2K like anxiety and like Y2K horror. Because it like obviously posits like, you know, technology itself as like kind of like the thing that like is getting these people in trouble, but also like the like brimming like use of like the internet and like cameras and like all these things is like seeming very like uh a, a generation that seemed like maybe like very like self-involved or like disconnected, you know?
right. Nothing bad could ever happen to them. Like,
Yeah, yeah. Um
She got her
eh,
directions. She knows where she's going.
right, yeah. Yeah. Um yeah.
yeah,
Uh
I think it even ties into that whole idea of like how I don't know, even Halloween Resurrection kind of like running with that in a fictional manner. And like even we today we see so many horror movies doing like throwbacks to the 80s. And I actually like there is this tiny voice in the back of my mind that is like cop out because it lacks technology. And I actually think it's easier to make a horror movie set in the 80s because you were on your own. Like you didn't have your
yeah. And
phone.
also because like I think that like people who are like making these like throwback movies have such a like fairy tale idea of like what the 80s were. They were like neon and
Mm,
Yeah.
scrunchy socks, you know, like where
yeah,
that's like not like actually like maybe that like
bubble
was an
gummy.
aesthetic like of the 80s, but like not like horror of the 80s was like what it was because like there was like, you know, because it couldn't have been like throwback horror I think is like hard to do in a way that's not just like purely aesthetic because it
Right.
tries to like capture the same essence as something that came out in those time periods when like even if we had a story that was like if someone came up with if you know Texas Chainsaw Massacre never existed or right or if Halloween never existed and someone came up with that idea today it would be so different and would be like such a product of his time it could never happen that same way ever again
Right.
Ever again.
yeah.
Yeah.
Where are the male crop tops?
True.
That is something that does need to come back.
Bring 'em
Horror
back.
really did show us how horror in the 80s really did show us how men should dress.
Yeah. Yeah.
Specifically Friday the 13th franchise. There's so many
The-
crop tops
I'm picturing
on
Johnny Depp
Yep.
getting sucked
Oh
in.
yeah,
With
true.
your little,
That's
yeah.
that's
And then
the
like
crop
Tatum's
top, crop
throwback to
jersey.
that and Scream. Yeah.
Yes, Tatum. I love that moment.
Absolutely.
Such an iconic moment. Yeah, and I think too, like, you know, in that time, like corporations were, you know, slashing away at small towns and all of those things that aren't going on anymore. Now we're trying to like actually rebuild and bring back, and I don't know, we're still obviously under the corporate thumb, but in a very different way. So our relationship to those things, yeah, can never happen again.
Yeah.
Uh,
Right.
yeah.
Oh goodness. Well,
Okay. I want to talk about one thing really quick
okay.
because this is a throwback. One time, you guys, Mackenzie had this mirror and the the mirror was making her not feel great. We weren't sure if it was haunted or not, but I treated it like a haunted object and I did a ritual.
Yes, you did. Do you want me to tell the story?
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, so I like saw in your questions, you're like, you know, like any like new supernatural experiences for you. And the answer is no, but like
Cool.
but like that is truly like the experience that I think has been like the most supernatural like in my life, like without a doubt. Like I fully was like that mirror was haunted because
Right.
I remember, you know, I had moved into this like sublet. It was like a winter sublet and was at like above a coffee shop I used to go to all the time, and
Oh,
it was like it's an Airbnb in the summer, and then the landlord like rented it out as a apartment in the winter. Hold on, my cat is screaming, and I have to let her in, or she won't stop.
yeah. Let her in. Is that
You know
Norma?
about it.
It's Norma. Norma, come on in.
Welcome, Norma.
Okay, I'm sure she'll jump up in a second.
Can't wait.
So I'm just like brushing my teeth, minding my own business, and the person I was living with at the time, like, is in the closet and picks up this like big like tin mirror, and hi Norma, and faces it towards me and is like, hey, look at this mirror. And I like turn and I look into it, and immediately nauseous, like clammy, like my heart like sinks into my stomach. I was like, you need to get that away from me right now. I was like, I was like, I'm not joking. I'm like, get the mirror away from me. And then every time I looked at it, it made me feel like that to some degree. And then I remember before I told you about it, I had like tried moving it into the living room. And then every time I was in the living room, I was like anxious. I had like a really hard time breathing. And I was like, this is not good. And I was like, how do I know that it seems acutely equipped to help me deal with a potential haunting? And then I called you in. And you came and you did a ritual to it once in the house. In the house. You like faced it outside.
Yep.
You did some stuff around it. And then that didn't work. And then you came back.
Yep.
You took it outside and did something else to it. And I think it worked. And I remember, I'll never forget, you told me that it seemed like a woman who was trapped in a hallway.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll never forget it either. I have the visual still perfectly in my mind.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I did like a weird meditation. I was actually like talking to Todd about this last night, everybody. But I did like one of those like, I don't know. I just did like one of my like little astral meditations, and I like was holding the mirror, and I just like found her, and I like got her out of the hallway.
I can't remember if I ever told you this piece of information, but this really like, I can't remember if I did, but I'll repeat it because I just think it adds to the story. So this all happens, right? And then it's like, I don't look at it again. I like leave it alone. It's like totally still in that closet. And I remember asking my landlord, just like texting her and being like, hey, do you know where this like mirror came from? Because when I found it, it was like wrapped in like, not a tarp, but like a, you know, like one, like essentially like a tarp, like in the closet. And she's like, no, that was there when I moved in. And I was like, oh, like, okay. And I was like, whatever. And so during all of this time, I got like a part-time job at the coffee shop that was beneath the apartment. And I was a really bad barista. Cannot make a latte to save my life. It was really embarrassing. I like burnt the espresso all the time. But anyway, I'm like struggling to make coconut latte or whatever. And I hear someone walk in. And it's a woman like her 50s, and she's talking to like someone else that I think must have been like her daughter or something. And she's like, oh my gosh, she's like, it looks so different in here. And I'm like, what are you talking? And I don't say anything, but I'm immediately like my ears are up. And she's like, yeah, this is so strange. It looks so much different. She's like, I can't wait to like take pictures and like show my mom. And so she's talking about her mom. And so she comes up and she, you know, buys herself a drink. And I was like, hey, what were you like? I actually like live in this building. I was like, what were you talking about? Like, why did this seem so familiar to you? And she's like, oh, my mother used to own this building. It used to be her antique store. And I was like, what? She was like, yeah. And I was like, that is so weird. And I was like, I actually have this like really old mirror that's like upstairs in my apartment that my landlord said was here when she moved in. And she was like, well, then that must be from this antique store. She's like, because there wasn't like tenants in it after that. Like it was an antique store. It cleared out because her mother was moving to a nursing home. And then, you know, this person bought that property. And she was like, if you take a picture of it, she's like, my mother has like a photographic memory. She's like, she'll know where it is and where it came from. And I was like, okay. And then I was just like, no. Yeah. I was like, I've seen too many horror movies. I'm not going. I'm not fucking with this.
Like, I'm not trying to get more involved.
You're gonna know too much.
Yeah. I was like, yeah. So haunted, I guess, like objects that have made me feel like maybe they were haunted, or the only like real paranormal experiences I've had. I've had an instance where I found the same scrapbook at an antique store on 3 different occasions, like 3 years apart from each other. Like, yeah. And I'll show you the video of it at some time, but it's a really, really deranged. It's like this old leather, like black scrapbook that features a lot of pictures or like greeting cards, seems really normal. Then it goes into like a lot of get well soon cards. Like it seems like there was a child who was in and out of the hospital all the time. And then like very intensely cuts to memorabilia about a house fire that killed a whole family. And yeah, it's insane. And then it ends, and then it's just that for pages and pages and pages. And then there's just like a picture of the Pope, and then that's like the end of the scrapbook. But I'll just it's the range, and I found it at the same like roadside antique store. Like it doesn't make any sense. Like there is like this big basement, like humongous antique store, and it's like I wasn't even looking for it, and I found it each time. Like I was just like I would like look down and like there it was, like in different places in the store. Yeah. And then like, I remember like being with someone, they were like, maybe you should buy it. And I was like, absolutely not.
No, that's like your Annabelle fucking beginning.
That's your
story.
moment.
Like absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
Her life was never the
following
same.
you around. Oh my god.
No, thank you. Smart move.
Well, guys.
Those are my ghost stories. That's what I brought.
Says Mackenzie, give me my jeans back.
Oh, that's my sister.
We gotta put that one on there. An announcement.
I do have a pair of her jeans that I do need to give back.
We love to see it.
She lives in Washington, D.C., so she can come fight me for them if she wants.
Yeah.
So.
Distance.
Distance.
The jeans are here now. Well, we're at time, everybody.
We are.
Yep, we are.
We are. Well, it was
last.
This was really fun.
Okay, good.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming.
If you ever want to chat more, happy to come back.
Yeah.
If you get your DVD player working.
Yeah.
I would love to come back and chat about those like movies sometime. This was really great.
I really want to talk more about like how like just like consent education and horror like overlap. So maybe have you and Aronde on together.
That'd be fun. That'd be so fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep. Yeah.
And what's cool is that we can talk more about that in the Patreon bonus that we're going to be recording.
We are. We are.
Hey.
Bonus content.
But as far
be called content.
Could be. Now's our chance.
The horror of my life.
I know, right? Gotta make content today. Exactly. Well, for the audience, this is goodbye. But for us, we will continue. So until next time, thank you guys for joining us. Thanks, Mackenzie, for being on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bye, guys.
Bye.